I thought moving in with my friend Alex would be a good idea. We'd known each other for years, and I always considered them reliable, funny, and well, not impossible to live with. When I got the offer to transfer for work and needed a place quickly, Alex immediately offered their spare bedroom. At first, it seemed like a dream. A fully furnished apartment in a decent neighborhood, utilities included, and someone I trusted to split chores fairly. I thought we'd be able to share meals, have movie nights, maybe even go out together occasionally. What I didn't expect was that living together would slowly turn into a subtle daily grind that made me feel less like a friend and more like a full-time employee without a paycheck. The first month went smoothly. I paid my share of rent, stocked the fridge, and did my part of the cleaning. Alex and I laughed at small things, shared the occasional bottle of wine, and talked about our days. But by the second month, the subtle changes began. Alex would start dropping hints like, "Can you take out the trash? I'm too busy working on that report." Or, "Would you mind doing the laundry today? I've got deadlines." I didn't mind at first. I thought it was normal roommate behavior. But the requests kept escalating soon. I was expected to cook dinner most nights because Alex had too much to do, clean the entire apartment every weekend, pick up their packages, and even drive them to errands. It wasn't just requests. It was a tone, an assumption that I would do these things without complaint. At first, I tried to rationalize it. Okay, maybe they're just stressed with work, I told myself. It'll even out eventually. But it didn't. The chores weren't optional. If I didn't immediately respond or do what was asked, I'd get a sigh, a raised eyebrow, or a subtle jab like, "Oh, I guess that can wait." Again. And that phrase, "again," became a dagger over time. I wasn't just failing at chores, I was failing a friend. It didn't matter that I was working full-time, often later than Alex, sometimes physically exhausted, or mentally drained from my own life. I existed primarily as a resource for them. The real turning point came when Alex started giving me a literal checklist. They printed it on a piece of paper and taped it to the fridge. "Daily chores," it read, with boxes for cleaning, cooking, dishes, laundry, and minor errands. I stared at it for a long time, thinking I was misreading it. Surely, a friend wouldn't treat another friend like an unpaid intern, right? But Alex came into the kitchen later that day, coffee in hand, smiling casually, and said, "Oh, I see you haven't crossed off the vacuuming yet. It's okay, I know work's been stressful, but maybe tomorrow?" My stomach sank. I wanted to laugh it off, tell myself I was overreacting, but the tone, the casual expectation made it clear. This wasn't a joke. Then came the passive-aggressive remarks. If a dish was left in the sink too long, Alex would sigh loudly and mutter, "Some people just don't notice messes." If I forgot to restock the toilet paper, I'd find a post-it note on the bathroom mirror with an exasperated FYI. The apartment was small, but suddenly every corner felt scrutinized. The coffee table had to be aligned perfectly with the couch. Dishes couldn't sit out for more than 10 minutes, and every rug had to be vacuumed in a pattern I didn't even realize existed. I began noticing a pattern. If I did something before they asked, it was overlooked. If I did it after, it was met with either gratitude that quickly turned into a new expectation, or passive aggression. And it wasn't just chores anymore. Alex started assigning errands, even minor ones, with a tone that made them non-negotiable. "I ran out of printer paper. Can you grab some on your way home?" "The mail's full. Take it down now if you're passing the lobby." At first, I would comply, thinking, this is temporary. I just need to adjust. But weeks turned into months, and the list of unspoken duties kept growing. I tried talking to Alex about it once. I chose a calm evening, after work, hoping to keep the tone non-confrontational. "Hey, Alex, can we talk about chores?" I started. I feel like the expectations here have been leaning more toward, "Well, like I'm your assistant than your roommate?" Alex laughed, a little too lightly. "Oh, come on, I'm just asking for help. You live here too, don't you? It's only fair." I nodded, trying to explain that there's a difference between sharing chores and having someone's life run according to a daily checklist. I mentioned that I'm working full-time too, often late, and that constantly feeling monitored made me anxious. Alex waved it off. "You like helping out, right? I'm just super busy right now. We all pitch in our own ways." I wanted to scream that I was busy too, that I didn't sign up for a live-in boss. But instead, I quietly nodded and went to my room, heart sinking. It only got worse. Alex started sending me texts while I was at work. "Don't forget to clean the counters tonight. Can you take out the recycling before you sleep?" I added your tasks for tomorrow on the fridge. My phone became a tool of constant oversight, a reminder that my life at home wasn't my own. I began scheduling my life around Alex's checklist, feeling guilty if I left anything undone. My evenings were filled with cooking, washing, folding, vacuuming, and minor errands. My weekend plans vanished because the apartment needed attention or you missed the recycling schedule. Even social plans became a source of guilt. If I wanted to go out with friends, I'd get messages like, "I could really use you here tonight to prep dinner," or "Don't forget the trash goes out before you leave." I began declining invitations quietly, no longer having the energy to argue or explain. I felt trapped in my own home. I started planning my exit in my mind constantly, checking rental listings and calculating how long I could stay before I saved enough for a deposit elsewhere. And the strangest part? Alex never asked me outright to do these things. There was always a casual tone, a laugh, or a half smile, which made it feel like I was failing at something invisible and arbitrary. I tried to remind myself that I was living with a friend, that this would pass, that I just needed to establish boundaries. But every attempt I made was met with subtle undermining. If I said I needed rest, Alex would sigh and mutter, "I guess some people just can't handle a few responsibilities." If I asked them to do something in return, it would be met with excuses. "I'm too tired," "I have a deadline," or "You're home more than I am anyway." The scales were always tipped in their favor. I began to dread coming home, to the point where the apartment, once a place of comfort, felt like a cage. Now, months later, I spend my evenings going through the motions, cooking, cleaning, tidying, running errands. Not because I want to, but because if I don't, I feel like I'm letting a friend down. And yet, deep down, I know that no friendship should make me feel like an employee in my own home. I've started documenting everything. The lists, the post-its, the text messages, because I know I need to leave carefully, without burning bridges. But I can't wait to have a home again where I'm just me, not an unpaid assistant. I even started keeping a small journal of the little moments that hurt. When Alex criticized the way I folded laundry, when a minor slip-up turned into a week of passive-aggressive comments, when they borrowed my things without asking and expected me to replace them, every line, every note feels like a reminder that this is not friendship. It's a system where I'm trapped in a loop of doing, cleaning, fixing, and running. And honestly, I don't know how I didn't see it coming. Living with a friend sounds easy in theory, but it's become the hardest thing I've ever done. I tell myself I'm strong, that I'll leave soon, that I'll reclaim my life. But every morning when I wake up and see the checklist on the fridge, the post-its in the bathroom, the text messages waiting on my phone, I feel a pang of exhaustion before I even get out of bed. It's a strange kind of betrayal, living under someone you trust and realizing trust isn't enough to protect you from being treated like someone disposable. I remind myself, it's temporary. I've started counting down the days, the weeks, the hours until I can move out, and slowly reclaim not just my home, but my sanity.